Okay, be honest. Have you noticed just how exhausting it is to, well, exist lately? I mean, your attention span probably feels like it's completely collapsed. You feel chronically scattered, maybe a little vaguely anxious all the time. And even though you're always connected, somehow you just feel completely drained at the end of the day. Well, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to look at why this modern exhaustion is absolutely not a personal failure. It's not a lack of willpower. It's actually a massive biological collision.
So why can't we focus for 10 minutes? Look around, or honestly, just look at your own habits. Can you read a physical book for an hour without reaching for your phone? Can you sit perfectly still for 10 minutes without checking a screen? If we're being real, most of us can't. And when we try and fail, we immediately blame ourselves, right? We think, oh, I'm just lazy. But what if I told you that your inability to focus is actually the result of an invisible epidemic? A very deliberate, highly engineered system designed specifically to break your attention.
Let's actually dive right into this. In today's Explainer, we're unpacking a really fascinating source, a book called Hijacked by Shingare. The core premise here is completely paradigm shifting. The author argues that our fragmented minds aren't broken at all. They're doing exactly what happens when billion-dollar engineering collides with our ancient biology. Your vehicle, meaning your brain, has literally been taken somewhere you didn't choose to go by people who, frankly, do not have your best interest at heart.
Because here is the fundamental root of the problem. Your brain is essentially a 100,000-year-old piece of hardware. It evolved for life on the African savanna. It was exquisitely calibrated for scarcity of food, scarcity of information, scarcity of stimulation. Now, we've dropped that exact same ancient brain right into the 21st century. We're talking about an environment of infinite stimulation, infinite novelty, and infinite social comparison available 24/7. Your brain simply doesn't know how to handle this. It literally was never built to.
Which brings us to Section 1, the biological hijack, or as I like to call it, the slot machine in your pocket.
All right, we need to completely redefine something that almost everyone misunderstands: dopamine. You probably think dopamine is the pleasure chemical, right? Well, it's not. Dopamine is actually the wanting chemical. It is your brain's anticipation system. When you're scrolling through a feed, you have no idea if the next post is going to be boring or shocking or hilarious. That unpredictability creates what neuroscientists call a prediction error. That error spikes your dopamine and literally forces you to keep scrolling. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. All these micro hits of dopamine build up your tolerance over time. Eventually, normal life, like a quiet walk, reading a good book, having a deep conversation, starts to feel completely numb and incredibly boring.
And this constant biological hijack, it doesn't just make us distracted. It leads us directly into Section 2, the physical toll, and what this hijack is actively destroying inside us.
Let's get one thing straight right off the bat. Sleep deprivation is absolutely not a badge of honor, and it is definitely not a productivity hack. When you don't sleep, your brain's lymphatic system literally fails to wash away the toxic proteins associated with Alzheimer's. Your prefrontal cortex, which is your impulse control center, basically goes offline. For the guys listening, sleeping just 5 to 6 hours plummets your testosterone levels to that of someone a whole decade older. And your metabolism? It shifts straight toward prediabetes. In fact, research shows that after just 2 weeks of getting 6 hours of sleep a night, your cognitive impairment matches someone who has been awake for 24 hours straight. The scary part is you just lose the ability to tell how impaired you actually are.
Then there's stress. Think about it. Ancestrally, stress meant you were literally running from a leopard. Your body flooded with cortisol, you fought or you ran, the threat ended, and your hormones settled back down. Today, the leopard is your inbox. It's the 24-hour news ticker. It's that passive-aggressive Slack message. Your body mounts the exact same biological emergency response, but the threat never actually ends. This chronic cortisol loop literally shrinks your hippocampus, the learning and memory center of your brain, while simultaneously making your amygdala, the fear center, hyperreactive. You are biologically losing the ability to think your way out of stress.
And what about our actual focus during the day? Well, get ready for this number: 23 minutes. That is the devastating reality of the modern workplace. Research from UC Irvine found that after a single notification interruption, just one ping, it takes an average of over 23 minutes to fully return to your previous depth of focus. If you're being interrupted every few minutes by emails and messages, you're spending your entire life in the cognitive shallows. You literally never reach your true brain capacity.
Nobel laureate Herbert Simon actually predicted all of this over 50 years ago. He noted that a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention, and man did he hit the nail on the head. The global attention economy is now a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And remember, they aren't selling you a product, they are actively harvesting your most valuable, finite cognitive resources. Okay, I know that sounds terrifying, but neuroplasticity totally works in both directions. So it is time for Section 3, the Rebuild Protocol, how we go about actually reclaiming your biology.
We're actually going to start this rebuild in kind of an unexpected place, your gut. See, the vagus nerve connects your brain and your digestive system. But get this, 90% of the signals travel up from the gut to the brain, not the other way around. Your gut microbiome produces 95% of your serotonin. If you're constantly eating ultra-processed foods, you are starving these microbes. That directly inflames your brain and drives anxiety. To fix this, you need to feed this system with around 30 different plant fibers a week, plus daily fermented foods, to structurally heal your mood from the inside out.
Next up, we absolutely have to reset that dopamine baseline. And no, just deleting the apps for a day doesn't work. We need a proper 4-week recalibration. Week 1 is all about friction. Take those apps off your home screen, turn your phone to grayscale, and charge it outside the bedroom. Week 2 is about setting boundaries, like establishing a strict no-phone morning window. Week 3, and this is the hardest one, is intentional boredom. You just sit for 20 minutes a day with no phone, no music, no podcasts. You just let the withdrawal happen. By week 4, your receptors are upregulating. Normal, everyday life actually starts to feel good again. And look, to handle the chronic, unavoidable stress of the modern world, you need real-time tools. Enter the physiological sigh. It is incredibly simple, but profoundly effective at instantly lowering your heart rate. Here's how you do it. Take a double inhale through your nose to fully inflate those lungs. Hold it for a split second, and then follow it with a long, slow exhale through your mouth. Just 2 or 3 of these will immediately regulate your nervous system and pull you right out of that leopard in the inbox fight-or-flight loop.
But listen, absolutely none of this matters if we don't fix our sleep architecture. To let your brain physically heal itself every night, you need circadian alignment. That means getting actual outdoor sunlight in your eyes within 60 minutes of waking up. It means delaying that morning coffee by 90 minutes so your natural cortisol can clear out, and stopping caffeine entirely after 10 a.m. You also want to drop your bedroom temperature to a nice cool 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and maybe consider taking magnesium glycinate before bed. This right here, this is the non-negotiable foundation of your physical and mental recovery.
Because look, all the protocols in the world won't save you if you just treat them as a quick 30-day life hack. This brings us to our final part, Section 4, the new human and why we have to start voting for a completely new identity. I absolutely love this concept from James Clear. True change happens by casting neurological votes. You can't just magically decide you're suddenly a focused person. But when you put your phone in another room and do 1 focused hour of deep work, that is 1 vote. You do it the next day, that's 2 votes. Every single time you act in alignment with the person you want to become, you are literally wiring that evidence into your nervous system. Over time, you become someone whose biology finally works for them rather than against them.
Because here is a biological guarantee. A year from now, your biology will be different. It's constantly changing. But I want to leave you with this provocative question. Will it change in the direction you deliberately choose, or will it change in the direction the trillion-dollar attention economy chooses for you? Look, you weren't given this incredible brain just to scroll through the curated highlights of other people's lives. You have the protocols now. It's time to take your attention back. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.